This video is part of a multi-part series and a playlist that I have of making shoes. This is the first stage in clay construction. All right, so in the previous video we covered how we're going to cut out the blue patterns, trace them onto the copy paper, and then we figure out what our percentage is. And again, that chart I have attached in the video description if that helps. Then I take it to the copy machine and I copy my patterns. So my patterns are 75% smaller, which will make it a little bit more manageable in size. When the shoes are just a little bit smaller than life size, it does help to make it a little bit easier. And I'm going to go ahead and cut these out. Now, in most cases, in making a shoe, I can get away with just using the yellow slab sticks. That's going to be the 3/8 of an inch. Well, in my class, I have them color coordinated. So the yellow ones I have color coordinated as a 3/8 of an inch. Now, if you happen to be doing a super thick sole like this one, maybe you need to make it a little bit thicker. So in that case, you could take the slab sticks and you put them up on end, and that will give you more like a 3/4 of an inch slab if you need something thicker. For my shoe, I don't really need it that thick, but I just wanted to show you this as an option. So this would give me 3/4 of an inch. Now for my shoe, I'm just going to set them down though because I don't need it quite that thick. Now remember that the slab sticks should be on either side of your clay, and you just roll from the middle outward, like what you may have seen just on mine a moment ago where I had rolled it backward. I wasn't thinking, and I rolled it back and it wanted to roll up on itself. Now after I have rolled it, I just take a rib and I rib my clay. That helps to get rid of some of the texture from the canvas, or it just helps to compress those particles kind of nicely. Next up, I'm going to start to cut out my pattern pieces. Now, again, I'm just doing the 3/8 of an inch for my sole. So my sole is going to be the same thickness as my walls. Again, if I needed a super thick sole, maybe I would turn my slab sticks. All right. So there is my first piece. My sole is ready. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and see what I can cut out here. Okay, now if I weren't ready to build these on the day that I cut them out, I would take the papers off when I put them in my bin because I wouldn't want them to get all soggy. In the case of mine, I'm going to build here though in just a moment. I'm going to add a little bit more clay for my last two slabs, and I'm just going to wedge this up. Now, if your canvas is getting really wet, like mine is getting really wet, you can always take a rib scrape some of that a little bit of extra clay off of there. Sometimes when my kids are working, you know, after I've got the 6th class that's gone through, the clay gets a little embedded sometimes in there because they're all sponging it off. And it just needs time to dry between classes, really. And I don't have that luxury. All right, now that I've ribbed my last bit, I can go ahead and get the last two pieces cut out. And remember, same side is up on all of these when I do it. So, you know, when I trace them on the white paper, I either traced them all blue side up or tape side up, right? There we go. Now I'm ready for assembly. I'm just going to set these slightly to the side so I know what's what. And here's my sole. So for the assembly, the first thing that I want to do is tidy up the edge of my cut slab, just like we did on the little coil pot skill builder. I am tidying up that edge to get rid of any debris or roughness on the corner. I will do that on both sides. And I can also do it on these pieces too. Now, kids, I had many of you make your patterns just in the easiest way we could. So it may not have followed the actual patterns of the fabric on your shoe. So we are going to be blending it together. Now, here is what we need to understand. The toe is going to sit on top of the base, but the toe is really going to have to be made quite three-dimensional in order to put it on. I am going to score and slip on top of the base, and then I'm going to score and slip on the side edge of the toe piece. Now, the toe then gets bent around like so, and I'm trying to make it three-dimensional there. Okay, and it's going to sit on right on top of the base. And you have to just give it a little bit of volume. This is the nice thing about clay. It will stretch and it can accommodate when you need to stretch it. So I'm scoring, slipping. I'm going to do it one more time for good measure. I just like to be a little extra diligent about that. And then I line this up with the outer edge and I press it on there really well. Okay, so here's the start. So it has to have that three-dimensional volume to the toe. If it goes down at a wedge, it looks very odd and weird, almost like some weird little slipper. Now I am going to roll a little coil. The coil does not have to be tidy or neat. And this coil is going to be about as thick as a pencil. And that's going to go into the toe like that. And then I have to get in there and blend it. Now, when you blend, we blend into the base and up into the side. Oh, and you know what? I did forget to mention one thing. You'll notice that my pattern right here, it says left sole. I did make sure before I started, I forgot to mention it, I had this sole flipped over, so it would be the left side. I totally forgot to mention that, so make sure that you get it oriented correctly when you are ready to put that on. So now if I look at this, I know this is the outside, this is going to go here, and I'm going to score where the edges are going to meet up. So this will lay against the front part of the toe right here. And now is the chance. If you need to fix your volume now. Push it out if you need to. And then this comes around, and this is going to be where my center seam is in the back. The paper towel just makes it a little easier to scoot around. And then here's the inside. Again, I want to orient it with the writing is up, so I know that it's all the same orientation. Okay. So here I score and slip all seams. And I'm going to kind of bring those two edges in the back so they make a joint that meets up nicely. Okay. Now, You might look at this and say, what happened to my opening? Because my opening was bigger there before. Yes, it was bigger, but because of the thickness of the clay, it's now a little bit smaller. So here I'm going to blend really well on the seams so I can blend inside and I can blend outside. I can also put a coil down here in the bottom. Remember that this is the rough stage. Just like any sort of project we've done, when you first put it together, you're going to have a rough stage, and then you have some cleaning that is going to happen, and it refines it and becomes a lot tidier the farther along it gets. So here I'm going to add another coil right down in the heel, in the side of the shoe. So I'm going to blend up into the side. Again, that coil's small, like a pencil. It does not need to be very thick at all. And I'm supporting the side of the shoe just like I did with that little baby coil pot when I blend. I don't want to knock it off the base. If you're not supporting it as you do it, you could just push it right off the base. So here we go. Okay. So now I have it blended on the inside. Now I still need to get my tongue in there, right? Now this is the part where it looks a little weird right now. Okay, so this is the opening of my shoe. The tongue, I need to kind of define my area a little bit better. And I'm just going to trim this away just a little bit more so I have a little bit more of a hole. Now the other thing that I want to do is I want to kind of bevel this at an angle. I'm taking off some of the thickness so when I put the tongue on here, it's not going to seem so bulky. Okay, so there's my opening. Now, if you don't get to this part until the following day, it's not a big deal. You would just keep it in your bin. But now I am going to take my tongue and I'm just going to thin it just a little bit more here on the sides, stretching it and thinning it a little bit more. I'll even lengthen it a little bit more like that. Okay, so now this is going to go underneath. Now, to put it underneath, I have to score and slip the top edge, and I have to score and slip underneath. Now, I could get in here with this, but it might be difficult to get all the way up there, so maybe I use the needle tool, or you could use that little brush. So if you don't want to use the needle tool, this little scratch wire brush, it's kind of nice because it's got that angle where it can reach underneath there and do a nice little job. The Kemper scratch wire brush is what that one's called. And now I'm going to add my tongue, but you have to make sure that you're curving it. So as I curve it there, I now put it from the interior. And I want to make sure that this looks like it's bending over kind of in the right arrangement. Okay, now the key is I'm going to have a difficult time reaching in there and blending. So this is when I have this little tool. I made a bunch of these for my class so my kids could do this. I actually have these on my Etsy shop. If you want to check that out, the link is in the video description. But I am going to use this to blend down in there. And here's the cool thing about this. This can also push out the toe if you need it to. So like you can come in here while it's plastic, you can kind of push that toe out a little bit, and I'm blending. Now, when I can blend up here where I can reach, I'll just blend with my fingers, but it is kind of nice down in there. So I have like one of these for each table that the kids can use, okay? Now, before I let this get a little bit stiffer, I want to think about making this have more of a natural shape, and that usually entails flexing the toe upward some. So here, I'm just going to flex the toe upward, maybe even flex the heel might flex a little bit upward too. So as you can see that, I just want to flex it just a little bit without changing the shape too much. Again, I just want to refine this toe before it starts to set up. Now, this is the left shoe, right? Hopefully you can see that. This is the inside of the shoe, this is the outside of the shoe. I'm ready to get this leather hard. Students, you're going to put this in your bin and prop the lid, and then it will get leather hard and you'll be able to start doing the cleaning. Now, if you have other panels besides, the way that we made it, you can certainly carve those panels in, but we're going to do that once it's a little closer to leather hard.